Hi everyone and welcome to Hidden Roles. I'm Rochelle.
And I'm Brent.
And today's game is Pioneer Days, where we take on the role of pioneers traveling west through the frontier. Designed by Matthew Dunstan and Chris Marling and published by Tasty Minstrel Games, this game brings out the nostalgia of playing Oregon Trail with some added extras.
Pioneer Days is designed for 2 to 4 players, with each player in charge of their own wagon train, where they collect resources and equipment, gather townsfolk, pan for gold, all while trying to avoid the many different disasters along the journey.
Since the game is published by TMG, the components of the game are of pretty good quality. Basic 4-player setup looks like this, where you have 2 main boards, the game board and then the scoreboard, some town cards, townsfolk cards, wagon extensions, equipment cards. You also have a black bag for the dice and then a gold bag for obviously gold. And then we also have damage tokens, cattle, silver, medicine, wood, and then favor tokens. Each player will then be given 2 player boards at random. One side of the board is a standard pioneer, which has the same abilities and starting resources as everybody else. This is good if you're playing your first game or first couple of games. And then on the other side, you do have a unique ability for each pioneer, which gives you a different ability than everyone else and also different starting resources, which you'll collect at the beginning of the game.
In Pioneer Days, you'll be traveling west and spend 4 weeks on your journey. So in the game, there are 4 rounds called weeks, each made of 5 days. I guess pioneers don't travel on the weekend. On each day, each pioneer will have 1 turn to select a die and use it.
During the start of the week, except for the first week, you'll put dice back into the black bag. The amount varies depending on the number of players that will be playing the game. You'll also deal 2 new town cards, return any remaining equipment back into the box and reveal new ones. You'll also discard any townsfolk that are remaining and then draw 6 more from the deck. During the day phase, the starting player will draw dice depending on the number of players from the black bag. In a 4-player game, you'll be drawing 5 dice, which you'll then roll to create a dice pool.
On a player's turn, they'll select a die and first see if it triggers any of the equipment in their wagon. You can check this by seeing if any of their equipment has that specific die face on their equipment token. You can also, if you want, pay 3 silver to change the face of any die. Once you have selected, you can use the die in one of 3 ways. The first way is via income, where you take silver. Checking the main board, you'll receive the amount of silver based off that die face. The next option is action, which is also dependent on the face of the die. The Joker is wild, where you choose any of the 5 other options to utilize. Pickaxe is mine, where you can draw 1 gold token from the bag and place it face down in your wagon. Equipped is taking 1 of the available equipment tiles and place it in your wagon. Equipment does a variety of different things we could check in the rulebook. Cattle allows you to take 1 cattle from the stock and add it to your herd. Wood allows you to take 1 wood token and place it in your wagon. Medicine gives you 1 medicine token to place in your wagon. Unlike gold, wood and medicine only takes up half a space in your wagon.
The third option is recruit, where you can recruit a townsfolk that is under the icon of your die face. So if you selected the Joker icon, you can recruit the townsfolk that's under the Joker icon as well. Each townsfolk has 2 parts on their card. They have a special scoring component and then also a special ability, which has 3 different types of triggers. There's an immediate trigger, which is a bell icon. It also has an ongoing trigger, which lets it have an ongoing effect represented by the infinity sign. And then there's also a triggered icon, which is represented by the gear icon.
Also on your turn, you can expand your wagon train by buying a small wagon or a large wagon, and you can buy as much of these as you can afford on your turn. Once all players have selected their die, the remaining die will be discarded to the appropriate matching color on the main board, and you'll advance that matching disaster color token forward. If a black die was the last one remaining, all disaster tokens will move forward. Once the disaster token reaches the end of the track, the disaster is immediately triggered.
There are 4 disasters which you can encounter during your journey west. Fortunately, there are ways to avoid or alleviate the damage a disaster might cause to your wagon train. Storm caused damage to your wagon. For each wagon train you have to pay 1 wood token. If you are unable to pay any or enough wood, you'll place a damage token on 2 spaces of your wagon. Damage tokens, unfortunately, are -2 VPs for each one you have at the end of the game, and they also cause you to lose those 2 available spaces in that wagon. Raid makes you lose half of your silver coins. For famine, you will need to pay 1 silver for each cattle that you have. If you're unable to pay, you have to return that cattle back to the stock. Disease affects your townsfolk and causes them to be sick. You'll need to pay 1 medicine for each townsfolk, or you'll have to discard them. Once a disaster has been resolved, the track gets reset back to the beginning.
The next day will begin with the next person being the starting player and repeating the previous steps. Once all 5 days have been completed and the dice bag is empty, it is the end of that week. You resolve any townsfolk's effects for that week and receive victory points for any cattle you have, and also have the opportunity to satisfy the needs of the town for favors. Each requirement can only be done once for each player, and a new week will begin and everything will be restocked.
At the end of the 4th week, before you visit the town, you'll advance all the disaster tokens forward 1 space, and then you can visit the town 1 final time to gain any favors. You'll then calculate VPs based on your gold, any favor tokens you have, the value of your townsfolk, and deducting any points for any damage tokens on your wagons. The player with the most VP wins.
So that's Pioneer Days. If you miss the old school days of playing Oregon Trail and managing your journey west, but don't miss your family dying of dysentery, Pioneer Days is a great game to experience the nostalgia of days long ago. But if you've never experienced Oregon Trail, this game is also a new opportunity to experience the classic feeling of journeying west through the frontier.